Hi, my name is George Semaganda again, and I'm going to talk about interaction design in regards to UI, user interface design. I'll continue straight from where my colleague has stopped, and then definitely the definition of interaction design is basically of how interactive you can make a product or a service in which where you as a designer, your focus goes beyond the item in development to include various ways in which users can interact with the product. So why interaction design is a critical component of user centered design processes. One, it enhances usability. It makes the use of the product very easy to the users. Then it improves user experience. Users will like the system with if it has a better user interaction design. Then it increases engagement, and this also helps with control. It gives the users control, and they be in control over whatever interactions they are doing, engagements they are doing with the system. Then it facilitates effective communication with interactive design. It basically helps to enhance the process, the communication process. If a user, for example, clicks a button on a given system, and they definitely get whatever they expect, it redirects them to whatever they expect. That helps with effective communication. Then it reduces cognitive load. In this way, it requires less mental memory, to work with for users to interact with your system if it has better interaction design, and therefore they don't need to think a lot before they use the system. Then it supports accessibility. Remember, interaction design is inclusive. It allows enabling other features, for example, voice recognition for those who might be, who can't be in position to type and respond. Then everything, okay, it basically helps with inclusivity in the system, and then it supports iterative design. Since you're designing this with the users, you have what the users want. You are in position to learn of what the users want and need so that you can better the design. So the key principles of interactive design, there is visibility. It has to be very, features need to be very easy to see in the system. Then feedback, there is this element of feedback that, okay, if I expect to finish a task, I have to get feedback or something that helps me to confirm that I've really accomplished a given task. Then affordance just helps with simple descriptions of different, features. For example, if a button, it should be clearly seen that it is clickable. So giving a button a clickable feel, it basically helps. It is one of the key principle of interaction design. Then there is flexibility also, as one of the principle of interaction design. Like if a system is flexible, if there is good interaction design, a system will be flexible. That if I navigate from this feature, it will redirect me to the next feature, and it will redirect me to the next feature until when I get my task accomplished. Then I'll also talk about the differences between interaction design and user interface design. Remember, these two somehow they seem to be related, but yet they are two different aspects of UID. So with UI design concerns itself with the visual aesthetics of interface elements like icons, drop downs, and navigation menus, whereas the interaction design determines the functionality of these icons and elements. So depending on the target audience, so basically that is the difference in between that the UI design. It's just the visual aesthetics of the interface, but then the interaction design works with the functionality of these elements. So how the two collaborate in the development of digital products is that the interaction design ensures the behavior of the system is in fact intuitive, while UI design ensures the appearance of the system is appealing and easy to understand. So visuals, intuitive of the features is interaction, whereas the appealing and easy to understand works with UI design. So interaction design also focuses on the experiences of interacting with the system. For example, how a button behaves when clicked, where it redirects to, and everything of a kind. Whereas UI design makes sure the button is visible, attractive, and then it has the back end function of being clickable to a given redirect page. So interaction design methods and techniques. We have user research, where as developers, you have to reach out to users and find out exactly what they are interested in. Then sketching and prototyping. This basically helps with costs and time saving, because if I have a prototype of what I'm building on, I will be building something that I've already visualized and I know how it's supposed to function. Then wireframing and mockups. For wireframing, basically, it helps us to establish how the different features and icons are going to be, set in our whatever we are building on in our system. Whereas mockups help us to know the navigations, okay, how the functionality of different features are going to be brought together to give us a required outcome. Then design patterns and principles. This comes back to whatever design principles we have to follow as UI designers. Then user testing and evaluation. Of course, if I build a system, I'll eventually need to evaluate its functionality, productivity, and then user acceptance. So then continue straight to examples of the different types of user interfaces. There are basically three examples. The GUI, graphical user interface. These are basically applied in mostly smartphones, computers, and tablets, where you just click on an icon and it basically, opens to a given functionality or a feature. So interactive design focuses on visual elements, layout, intuitive navigation, considers factors like color, typography, and spacing. This is key. Then voice interface design. For people who might be disabled, but also to make user experience amazing and intuitive. For example, if you know the Hey Siri platform for the iOS, then there's Alexa, there's Google Assistant, and everything of a kind. Then these all interaction design, they prioritize natural language processing and speech recognition. These factors like clarity, and they consider factors like clarity, conciseness, and context awareness. And then the third one is gesture-based interfaces. For example, the touch screen, motion control devices, and so on and so forth. So these interaction design under gesture-based interfaces emphasize intuitive gestures and feedback. So if I make a feedback, for example, into a camera, it will be in position to detect and understand what I mean. For example, if I'm waving, for example, if I want the door to be opened and I'm using a gesture, it should be in position to clearly interpret and understand what I mean. So I'll walk into the benefits of effective feedback. There is reduced confusion. Okay, if feedback from a system is straightforward and clear and precise, there is reduced confusion to the users. A user gets what they expect, then it also enhances satisfaction. If a user gets what he or she expects, of course they are satisfied and they will always come back to use the system. So benefits of effective feed forward. Feed forward helps in reducing errors. Feed forward is basically foreseeing a feature before you in fact give it functionality. For example, I may say if I click on the submit button, I'll go to this page, and I'll also send a user a notification that your submission has been successful. And this is basically what feed forward means. So it helps reduce errors, and then it enhances efficiency, because you're designing while informed. You're designing from an informed base. So how to ensure clear and meaningful feedback in interactive systems? One, there's relevancy. The system needs to be relevant. Okay, the features in the system need to be relevant. Then timelessness, it needs to be, it's less time. Then there is requirement for clarity of the system. If a feature is a button, let it be a clear. If a feature is something all sign in, sign up, it should, a user should clearly tell that this is what it really is. Then there are visual cues. Okay, visually, if I just look at something, I can be in position to read what is coming forward or after. What if I use such a feature, what is going to happen? Then auditory cues, there's a haptic feedback from the system. If a user gets good feedback and correct feedback from the system, they will automatically like the system they are interacting with. Then error prevention. Okay, this is key. If a user is bumping into errors every time they are trying to interact with the system, it's one of a turn off for them, and they won't like the system. So then user testing also is one of one way we can ensure clear and meaningful feedback in an interactive system. Role of wireframing, I'll also talk about it briefly. Interactive design. The aim of wireframing is to provide a visual understanding of a page clear early in the project to get stakeholder and project team approval before the creative phase gets underway. So we had talked about wireframes earlier. And then the role of prototyping in also interaction design, it also allows designers to test their designs in a realistic context, identifying potential issues, make necessary changes before the final product is in fact developed. So how these techniques help in early design exploration and user testing? So it helps to identify issues earlier in case of errors, in case some link could maybe lead to an error. It is easy for you to learn about it earlier before you even get to the development stage. Then there's reduced development cost because you first refine whatever you want to develop, you first have it down, you first visualize it, you first simulate it before you can in fact implement it. Then there is also improved user certification. Sorry. If a user is satisfied, they will always come back to the system. They will always recommend a system to someone else to use it also. So basically that is it for me. I will invite my other colleague Ian to take us through usability and evaluation. Thank you so much.